watching Instagram blow up as the news broke earlier that Zach Tom got his contract extension.
Pay that man his money.
And they did. So Jordan Love and Carrington Valentine both shared this same Instagram on their Instagram story from Tom Pelisero talking about Zach Tom's extension, right? I just said, Jordan Love and Carrington Valentine sharing the Zach Tom story on their Instagram stories. No doubt Zach Tom is a glue guy for the Packers, man. It really says a lot about how this team feels about Zach Tom. We're going to get into all of the details of this contract. You already seen some people kind of misreporting on the contract. They got a few of the rankings and numbers a little bit off. We'll go off of Spot Tracks numbers, but obviously a 4-year extension. Jacob, I know you've been out of the fold a little bit, man. Me and Tim, we've been talking about this for a while. We're ready to get Zach Tom under contract. I know you got to hear the numbers, but on the surface, how do you feel about this sign?
Pay that man his money.
That's a new one. Tim. Tim's got a new toy to play with. I mean, I'm ecstatic. I am just happy that it happened when it did. There's no reason to drag any sort of drama into the actual, we're starting to, it's so crazy how fast the summer went by. And like Tim, it could be, we're almost a month away from that possible Seattle game, which is crazy to even think about that. I believe the first one, August 9th. I mean, guys, we are almost right there. The fact that they got this locked up, that there's no more drama, at least with the Zach Tom, discussion. It's more than I could have expected on a Monday. So I'm just happy to get it going, man.
Yeah, Ed Madden in the chat says everything starts falling into place once that first one gets done. As we talked about, Tim, Malik Willis potentially. We'll see how that goes. They may just let him play the contract out. Rasheed Walker might potentially get re-signed. We'll see how that goes.
Big E.
Christian Watson. You've got Quay Walker, Romeo Dobbs. These are all names. I'm not saying we should sign all those guys. I'm just saying those are the names that could be the next one that comes down the pike with an extension. And like Tim said, with Elton Jenkins, probably not looking to give him an extension. I could be wrong. I think they're going to kind of sweeten the pot a little bit with some more guaranteed money to make it worth his time with that position change. But what do you think, Tim? Zach Tom, 4-year deal, man. Let's go.
Love it, baby. Love it. You know it. We've been talking about this for 2-3 months now. I was ready for this moment, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago. So I'm happy. But I think you're right. When it comes to Elton Jenkins on the other side of the coin here, I think it's probably a rework or a restructure. Nothing too crazy long term. But I'm happy for Zach Tom. He deserves it. He's got the bag. I'm sure we'll break down the specifics here as we move forward, but really happy for him right now.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. All right, let's get into the details here. Tom Pelisero was the first one I seen reported. The Packers and offensive tackle Zach Tom have agreed to terms on a historic 4-year, $88 million contract extension with a max value of $92 million, sources tell the insiders. The deal includes
his money.
a $30.2 million signing bonus, which is the largest signing bonus for an offensive lineman in the history of the NFL. The deal was done by Michael Hoffman and Nate Sullivan of Sports Law and Management, also known as SLAM, and he tagged at Mr. Hoffy. All right, that sounds like one of the guys that works in the club with you, Jacob, Mr. Hoffy. But you could tell this information came from the agent side because notice the key words here, guys. You've got historic 4-year, $88 million, right? And then a max value of $92 million, and then a signing bonus, which is the largest signing bonus of all offensive linemen, right? So
let's get to the real numbers.
Yeah, exactly. So just a couple other people reporting on it. Bill Huber been on a heater today, man. If you guys aren't following him on Twitter, he's just got the quickest, easiest read articles. He gets you the information you need to know. He had a quote in his article. It said, quote, "It was a long and tough journey that began at the combine," Tom's agent Michael Hoffman told Packers on SI. In the end, this is where Zach wanted to be, and we were able to bridge the gap and get the deal done. I feel comfortable in saying Zach could have got a lot more money, not a lot more, a significant amount of money more than the Packers gave him. It feels like this is a very team-friendly deal, in my opinion. We'll break down why we think that. Now, Jason Wilde also put out a tweet and said he's got an article over at Channel 3000. Make sure you go check it out. It says, when we asked Packers right tackle Zach Tom if he'd sit out practices without a new deal, he replied, quote, "I don't really think it'll do me any good to sit out. The contract situation will take care of itself." Jacob, that's who you want in your locker room right there, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's the epitome of what being a team player is, knowing that if you are going to be that type of character that Green Bay, obviously when you draft somebody, you expect him to be a certain type of character player. And then when it comes time for contracts, you know, I think he did what was probably the best thing a Packer player could do. Just keep his head down, play good football. Don't drum up drama in the media. Be thankful of the community and the chance that you've got. And like you said, I really do believe if he wanted to be, you know, a certain type of person, he could have went out, played some games in the media, had his agent call other teams, did the whole, you know, one-upping sort of thing. You know, I've got this coming from this team, this coming from that team. He just seemed very, I'm content. I understand what I have here. I think too, he understands that window we talk about, he can't just go to any other team and guarantee that he's going to be in that window of being possibly a team that's going to actually go to the Super Bowl and contend for championships. I think that he sees what he has here, the surrounding cast, specifically on that offensive line too. I can't remember who it was that just said once one starts, you know, it kind of gets the ball rolling. And that's true. I mean, you guys know how I feel about Rashid. I always will love Big E. We got a bunch of young guys now that if they can fill in that gap, if we have 3 solid out of the 5 that we don't even have to really worry about. And then if 1 or 2 other guys can pop in and really be successful on offensive line, we got ourselves a top 5 offensive line, guys. I'm not even afraid to say that. So for the money, I think you're going to get into it right here. You guys know me, Cheapskate McGee. I'll take a team-friendly deal any day of the week.
Yeah, and diving into the numbers here, Tim. So Zach Tom, average annual value of $22 million per year, lands him 10th in the NFL. If he reaches the max value of $92 million, he would be 9th in the NFL. As you can see here, Tristan Wirfs 28.1, Penei Sewell 28, Trent Williams 27.5, Christian Darrisaw 26, Lane Johnson 25, Laramie Tunzel 25, Trey Smith 23.5, the highest paid guard in the NFL at the moment. Andrew Thomas, 23.5. Jake Matthews, 22.5. Jordan Mailata, 22, tied with Zach Tom there in the number 10 spot. $22 million average annual value. Now, again, take the total contract, right? The extension. We're just focused on the extension itself right now, not the final year of the deal worked in with it because it's like a $3 million hit or whatever's all. So when you look at it, though, Tim, this shakes out pretty nice average annual value. We'll get into the guarantees here in a second and talk about how we always do. A 4-year deal is really a 3-year deal, so on and so forth.
Yeah, in case you were wondering how I feel about it.
Pay that man his money.
Tim said pay him again.
What is that, Tim? Where's that from?
That's Teddy KGB, baby. John Malkovich, Rounders. Google it, baby. Let's go.
I know what it is.
Yeah, you know what it is. You're a film buff. I love it. But hey, we've been talking about it for months. I don't care, man. This is great. And at the end of the day, like Jacob was saying, man, it solidifies the O-line, at least in the respect of right tackle / emergency second or third string center, depending on how things pan out. Zach Tom can play anywhere on this O-line. I'm glad he got the bag, and I'm glad he's going to be here. And I'll say it one more time.
Pay that man his money.
And again, if you paid him a little bit more than he got, that extra value you just talked about, Tim, of being able to play all 5 positions on the offensive line, it's worth it. So the fact that we got him for the price we did, I'm really, really happy about. Let's go to the
Almost
chat.
Seems like we got a discount, right?
Yeah, it does. Chris the Casual in says team friendly for sure. Completely agree with that, Chris. Packers Kingdom say, Clayton, you called it. You said if it's 18 to 20 per, lock him up. Yeah, and for me, man, the number 25 I would have been all right with, to be honest with you, because Zach Tom is that good. Now, Rasheed Walker, a little bit different story, right? The run blocking is a little suspect, but still a solid tackle as well. But yeah, let's see here. Coach Lance says for Tom, that's a steal. He's still getting better. That's another great point. I mean, when you look at the PFF grades, he's ascending as he's, continuing to play his career. And what's crazy is he was injured last year as well and continues to get better working through that injury, which is wild to think about. Ed Madden says a Morgan team friendly. Coach Lynn says if Elton Jenkins is playing hardball, move Tom to center and put Morgan at right tackle. Hey, that's the thing too, man. You get this locked up, you kind of win the PR battle with the Elton Jenkins situation because look, hey, we're not afraid to pay our guys. Elton, you already got your deal, right? I think they should give him a little bit more guaranteed money. I do. That's me personally.
I agree. That's all he's looking for, right? He says, hey, you want me to move it to center? I'm getting, towards the later stages of my career. Give me some guaranteed money and I'll do it.
Because do I understand do I understand correctly that he's got 2 years left on the deal, but there's no guaranteed money left in those 2 years? Is that what he's griping?
Yeah, the no guarantee, people are saying that. It's not that there's no guarantee left, but because what you got is you got you got practical guarantee and actual guarantee. The actual guarantee is pretty much all but over, Jacob. So yeah, you could kind of say that. The big thing is
2 years left on the deal means 1 year left on the deal, right?
Essentially, yeah. Now they can basically cut bait this year if they wanted to. Obviously, they're not wanting to. Next year they cut bait. I think they free up $20 million in cap space. So essentially, the majority of the cap penalty has already been absorbed. So if you cut him out right next year, if it's decide to move on, you're going to free up $20 million, and you're off the races running with whoever it is, Anthony Belton, like you said, maybe Zach Tom to center, or Jacob Monk steps in the center row. You went and got Anthony Belton. You already drafted Jordan Morgan as well. So you could tell from his perspective, the writing's on the wall. This is how the Packers do business. And, me personally, the level of play that Elton Jenkins has had the last couple of years, he's been good. Don't take this the wrong way. But he peaked 4 years ago. Right. Yeah. So you could kind of see him on the decline, and you know how the Packers are. They would rather cut bait 1 year early rather than 1 year too late. Deadfish says seems very reasonable on the Zach Tom contract. Completely agree. When you look at the guaranteed money, the signing bonus here, right? And it's not all the guarantee, but the signing bonus is bang, here's what he gets up front. This is pretty much the actual guarantee that we talk about, right? His $30.2 million signing bonus lands him second in the NFL. So they up the guarantee money. Remember what we always talk about, guys, cash over cap. You look at the cap hits are going to look really pretty, probably on average somewhere around $20 to $23 million, something like that, which is really, really nice across the league. But how did you do that? You gave a little more guaranteed money with the 30.2 cash over cap, right? And essentially Orlando Brown Jr. with the Bengals, $31.1 million was the highest signing bonus so far. Zach Tom comes in number 2 at 30.2, then Will Campbell, 28.3, Trent Williams, 25.6, and then Dan Moore, 25.5. Does that make sense with the guaranteed money, though, fellas? What we're talking about here?
Yeah. Didn't that article that you kind of alluded to the fact that the agent may have wrote it? Didn't he say that it was the biggest signing bonus of all time, though?
He did, didn't he?
The largest, the most best of all time in history.
You caught that too, didn't you? Well, Spot Track disagrees, but you know what?
I can't believe you didn't do the accent when you said that, Jacob.
Well,
try that again.
The greatest, the best. That's what they say. I don't say that. That's what people tell me.
So, anyway, yeah, that's a great point, Jacob. And again, you're talking about a $500,000 difference, right? Why not, as they say down here in the South, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's kind of how PFF has Tom as the 6th highest graded offensive tackle overall in the NFL. You got Jordan Mailata with a 95.2, Rashawn Slater, 90.9, Penei Sewell, 89, Terran Armstead, 89, Lane Johnson, 88, and then Zach Tom at 85. But this is what really grabs my attention. You try to read between the lines with how the Packers are building their roster, and more specifically their offensive line in the current moment. They went from smaller offensive linemen to a little bit bigger offensive lineman, right? And what I mean by that is you go and you sign Jordan Morgan, right? Jordan Morgan's an absolute tank, whatever he is, 6'5", 6'6", 330 pounds, whatever he played at.
Thick.
That big Escalade out of NC State, right? 6'6", 336, I think.
Thick.
Him listed at. So you're going bigger on the offensive line in that regard. Zach Tom's a little bit smaller in stature. However, why are you going bigger on offensive line? I think it's to run more duo. Well, look at Zach Tom's run blocking grade. PFF has Tom as the 3rd highest graded offensive tackle in run blocking, recording 0 penalties as well. He had no run blocking penalties. All right. And he finished 3rd at 87.8. The only offensive tackles that had a higher run blocking grade than him were Penei Sewell at 91 and Jordan Mailata with the Eagles at 94. So with that being said, I don't think it's a coincidence either. Look at where Zach Tom's run blocking is. And the 2 teams that we're chasing right now, the Detroit Lions in the North and the Eagles that knocked us out of the playoffs and won the Super Bowl last year, are the only 2 teams that have players with a higher run blocking grade than Zach Tom at the moment. So the Jordan Morgan signing and free agency, and then the Anthony Belton draft pick, along with Zach Tom's elite run blocking grade, was get ready for more duo. And his zone blocking grade was in the 90s, and duo is a form of zone blocking as well. So Yes, Deadfish says Aaron Banks is big too. He's a Hoss cat, no doubt. So that penalty, though, that kind of caught me off guard. I didn't expect him to have 0 penalties last year in the run game. That's pretty cool.
Love it.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. Yeah, that's a good call.
All right. Moving along, as we await the specific salary cap allocations of the new deal, a good gauge would be $22 million per. Now, listen, the first year, what they'll probably do is this year, he's whatever he is against the cap, 3.1 million, 3.3 million, something like that. You'll probably see that number, I would imagine, inflate because you got all this cap space. Let's take a good chunk of that, allocate it to this year, and that'll lower the cap number for the next 2 years in the mid range and on the backside. And then guess what that sets you up for, gentlemen? Year 4, you can get out of it if you need to. Not that they want to. Hopefully Zach Tom earns another contract. You know what I mean? That's what we're hoping for. But that's what you're doing. You're front loading a little bit and smoothing that out on the backside there. So anyway, Zach Tom has been the most underpaid starting offensive tackle in the NFL since arriving in Green Bay. I feel confident saying that. You can see the placeholders here for the new contract. The cap hit this year looks like was $3.5 million. So again, I think that will inflate a bit, and that's going to be an estimate. But his past contract, guys, he's been a starter since he came in the league, right? In 2022, $831,000 was his cap hit.
That's crazy.
2023, $996,000. 2024, $1.1 million. Goody cooked. I repeat, Goody cooked. So that's pretty much the end of the article we put together over in our Patreon group. Chris Ian just commented, said, historic signing bonus to reward Tom massively as he deserves, but yet comes in 10th in the league, which for a top 3 right tackle, a very solid deal for Goot. And he said balls. I think he did that on purpose.
I love it. Chris.
Appreciate you. Great work.
We should give a quick shout out to Pack Daddy, Mr. Ryan Schlipp too, calling this one way far ahead of anyone
before the
else.
Draft.
Yeah,
right?
Before the draft, nailing this 4th round pick with Zach Tom. Here we are, a few seasons removed, and he's getting the bag. So we gotta salute to Pack Daddy, Packernet Zone for sure, calling this one a mile away.
Really did, man.
If you guys remember,
process. Jacob, me and you covered the draft together that year, didn't we?
Yes,
man, he was all over it.
I was gonna say, if you guys remember, we draft coverage. That was basically like my biggest. It'd be when Bullard got drafted, I lost my mind, and also I was a big Christian Watson fan. And during that draft, so was his son. And then when Zach Tom went, because he was talking him up for weeks and weeks before the draft, and kind of saying like, who is this guy? Like, why do I like him so much? He looks really, really great, blah, blah, blah. And then when that 4th round pick came in, that's the happiest I've ever seen Ryan.
All right,
other than when he's barbecuing.
Yeah. Hey, and let me tell you something, man. He dropped in at our draft party there in Green Bay, Wisconsin, before we all went over for day 2, I believe it was. And he brung a pork butt's what it was, smoked pork butt.
Yeah, me and the missus had the leftovers. We appreciate every single drop of that. That was delicious.
I woke up Sunday morning at about 2:45 a.m., standing in the kitchen with